today I got to go at life again because it's going to have a go at me. And life has a much better shot of basically owning you and taking care of you if you're worried about the thing that happened a few days before or the workout you didn't accomplish. Just wake up and do your best because you got to lean on yourself and you got to lean on each other. You can't beat yourself up. And we do that so often in races, or people go into races so scared and so fearful of what the outcome is going to be because they've hedged all of their chips and all of their bets on this result that's going to validate the amount of stress and anxiety and sacrifice that they've had for the previous 6 months. And then, oh my God, if it doesn't, then they're a failure. But here's the flip side. Even if you succeed, at what cost?
There we go.
Hey, happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Yeah, man. It's February 17th, 2020. Welcome aboard, Crushing Iron Podcast, episode 348.
348.
348, inching our way closer to 350, and then onward to 3,500 podcasts, which will both be like 80 and 60 by then. But anyway, we're inching forward. We come to you. We're inching forward. We come to you twice a week, traditionally Mondays and Thursdays. We cover triathlon. We cover life. We cover them both. How they intersect, how they complement each other, how sometimes even take away from each other. And Mike and I, as both coaches and athletes, try to have an open conversation and dialogue based on either what we're personally going through or even topics from our athletes, or oftentimes even from discussions and things that have been brought up with questions in our closed Facebook group, which is Crushing Iron Group. If you want to search that, we will let you in after you answer one simple question. And we try to keep it open, honest. Sometimes we go deep into both the training aspects of triathlon and the specifics, the physiology and what you need to do to make sure your training is on track. And then at times we kind of let the conversation roll towards triathlon and life. And sometimes our podcasts are generally more of a life cast, as we would call it. But hopefully they apply to both, because obviously if you're a triathlete, you're participating in any endurance sport, what you do as the sport, whether it's cycling, running, swimming, triathlon, any kind of endurance event, it's a huge part of your life, and you gravitate towards it, or you take up the sport as a hobby to hopefully benefit you in a positive way. And I think even times, though we intend for them to be positive, they can sometimes turn out negative in how we approach it, if we lose perspective, if we can't be objective, and then life is just tough. Life is the most stressful thing that we do each day. It is the hardest sport that we take on. It is the one where we need the most support. It is the one that we are fully invested in. And so they should complement each other, and triathlon should be a happy thing. It should be something where you're healthy, and you can take the positive attributes that triathlon can give to your life and apply it to your day-to-day life. And hopefully we can do our job today, and hopefully shining a light on some of those aspects and positive things you can take into it. But yeah, that's what we do. We hope you dive back in. We have 347 other podcasts you can find on iTunes and all other kind of platforms, I think. And Mike does a really awesome job of outlining those and giving kind of the subjects and different topics that we discuss within each podcast. So go back in, dive into it. We've got something for everybody. And again, we just appreciate you taking the time on this beautiful, sunshiny, post-Valentine's, current President's Day, February 17th.
Ooh, yeah. Current President's
Ooh,
Day.
yeah.
Should we be taking the day off, man?
Everyone else is.
Yeah. Well, then they're listening at home.
Yeah,
Relax.
exactly. You're
Kick
listening
back.
home, your PJs, and you're watching your Netflix or whatever it is you're doing today. Yeah, we are. Daycare's closed, so Allie and I are doing a split shift today. I left the house this morning. I do have to say, I slept until 6:40 today, and
Yeah,
I
so did I.
woke up in like a panic. I thought it was like half the day is gone, because I'm used to getting up earlier, but I've been trying to disconnect a little bit better at nighttime, which I think is helping me sleep better. But we're doing the split shift today. She's doing some grocery shopping with Hayden, and then I'm going to leave the office after the podcast and head home, and we're going to switch places, and she's going to come to the office and work and hang out. But yeah, hey, it's a holiday. It's actually a very beautiful day here in Chattanooga. I think it's probably sunny as well in Nashville,
It
after
is.
what was like a early week filled of rain. But we're here. I think springtime is inching its way closer. We're getting closer to March, which is, spring break for a lot of people. Yeah, we're here. We're happy. We appreciate you joining us. you were kind of quiet this weekend. What you got on your mind?
Why'd you say I was quiet?
You usually, you got you usually got something going on, and I didn't hear from you since Thursday, so I kind of figured, you're deep into something. So I figured I would take my shot on the podcast on live air, so you couldn't retreat from me.
Yeah. Well, I'm just I was basically busy with my house, but I do have something on my mind in that regard. I've been thinking about pondering all weekend is this idea that,
You've been thinking about pondering?
well, yeah,
No, we can.
I do because uh, this idea of things are just things until we give them meaning.
Mm,
And I was thinking about that in terms of my training, in the sense of, we talk about how you can't go back to who you were, and that race was that race, and you're not in that
right.
shape anymore. You're never going to be that same person. So I was really thinking about that because I've running, we went to run camp, and I've been pretty consistent running, more than anything for sure, but it just wasn't doing it for me lately.
Hmm.
So I decided to go for the bike. But what I was thinking about was this idea that sort of this like not judging yourself place where um, you accepting what you've done, right? Like I feel like since the race, or since Ironman Wisconsin last fall, I've been okay, but I haven't been great. Like we always have this, I'm going to stick with it and I'm going to get right on it, and and there's this sort of guilt around it if you don't, right? So I've been thinking
Hmm.
about this idea of, I don't know, like sort of self-forgiveness, in a sense that I did the best I could with what I had and the consciousness I had, and everything, you know what I mean? Like, so we just tend to judge ourselves based on what we've missed on, or what we thought we should have done. And so that's kind of what I've been pondering, honestly, is this idea. I think it's really kind of powerful to be able to be like, you know what? That's all I had. That's what I had. So not to bring forward this sort of like, oh man, I should have done this, I should have done that in life or triathlon or anything like that. So we don't. I mean, this doesn't have to be a topic or anything, but you asked, so that's kind of what I've been pondering.
No, I think it's a great topic, because like, and as a coach, I see this like really, really often with athletes is that like athletes never want to magnify or dissect or obsess about the good things, the great workouts, the great races. It's always all right. What's next? All right, and then almost like in the same sentence, how can I get better? I just want to get better. And then if you look back in the training or you read Training Peaks comments for people that do races, they could have, 8 or 9 outstanding races. They're PRing every race, they're continuously improving. And then obviously if you race enough, you're never going to PR every race. It's just not going to happen. You won't do it. It's just never going to happen if you race enough. But when it comes to bad workouts or rough workouts or bad weeks or bad races, then the sky has fallen. The world is over. I should retire. I am getting slower. This one day means it all. I think we do this as humans. We love to like magnify the errors or the mistakes, and we hold. I don't know what it is about the human psyche or how society is now, and that we love to like to with all of our might grab onto and hold tightly our mistakes, our misgivings, the times that we haven't done what we thought we would do, or what we haven't done already that we thought we would have accomplished already. And we rarely ever put that same energy and same obsession towards showing ourselves forgiveness, showing ourselves grace, and appreciating how far we have come in the midst of what life is, which is very, very hard and very, very difficult. I mean, that's one thing that we, um, really, I think, drive home a lot on this podcast, which obviously makes it not, um, a hack podcast and that everything is easy. You can do it. And like these, is that training is hard, triathlon is hard, and life is even harder. And as when we navigate our way through life and we go through all these things that we want to plan, and we set out our season, we get out our race calendar, we put all these races in, and all right, well, here I'm going to be here, I'm here, and I'm going to improve by here. And then life, that, encompasses, even if you train 2 hours a day, encompasses the other 22 hours of the day. Like even for like the professional athletes who might train 24 hours a day, and you're thinking, God, triathlon is their whole life. 24 hours a day, I can't even imagine, or 24 hours a week, I can't even imagine training that much. Even for a professional who has 24 hours of a week to train, that's still only 1/7 of their entire week. That is triathlon. The rest is life. And I think what you brought up is really common. I think it's a great topic. I think it's something that there isn't an easy answer to, but I think it's something that well, I think we also do as humans and as triathletes. I think we fail to give ourselves credit, because when we give ourselves credit or we give ourselves a pat on the back, we don't want to think, to ourselves or have other people think about us that we're being cocky or being too overconfident, or it's our ego. I think it's a fine line, but I also think that when we accept that things are going well, I think there's also this tendency to feel like then our work has been done. And we don't want our work to be finished. We want to continue working and make this triathlon and make this life thing something that goes on for a long time. And it's a people have like this fear of what success brings safety, right? In that if you're successful in triathlon, you're successful in life, then everything feels safe. But what we gravitate more towards is this fear of I need chaos, I need mistakes, I need something to happen. This is something I brought up in a couple other podcasts before, is that when when I was first getting sober like 7 years ago, like one of the things people talked about was that if you've lived in your life with making in the midst of chaos or making mistakes, or always having anxiety, or about just life in general, or what you've done or what you're doing, because you're in this really really bad place, that when things, I think I mentioned this to you before a couple of years ago, was that when life becomes kind of I don't want to say uneventful, but the events are now different because the events are positive, then sometimes people in recovery, no matter what they're recovering from, will kind of not slip up as in terms of like getting back in their addiction, but they will add in opportunities via making mistakes on purpose or creating bad situations to where they now have something that makes them feel more comfortable, because we've come to find anxiety and not depression, but anxiety and mistakes and being in the middle of chaos as our current level of comfort. And so we grab onto that, we gravitate to it. It's more comfortable because that's what we're used to. And then as life continues on and you stay sober or whatever it is, and you work through your issues, then the unsettling, kind of unnerving part is that, all right, I have nothing to like really truly have anxiety about or focus on. Now I need to find, now my anxiety is around there not being anything. Like, now what do I do? And so I think when it comes to racing and training and being hard on ourselves, I think it's something that we've just kind of, it's the opposite of Zen, and being mindful and being respectful of yourself and how far you've come, is we love to be hard on ourselves. And I don't know the psychology behind that. I don't know why it's something that we tend to do. It's a conversation I have to have with athletes almost on a weekly basis, is that don't forget how far you've come, don't forget where you were, and don't forget why you're here. And I don't just mean like why are you here as in like you're on this planet, but why you are where you are today. What's been going on in your life? What's transpired? Where is your mental and emotional and sometimes spiritual energy been allocated to? Because we only have a certain amount of energy every day, every week, every month, and life sucks most of it up. And so if you haven't had it all, we tend to we always look at training as we always can do it, and then we don't, or we should have done it. Then, we kind of give ourselves that kind of self-critical lashing of, you just didn't do it because you weren't motivated, this is my least favorite quote from athletes. I really thought I would be at this pace or this by this point. I'm like, why? I don't know. I just thought I would. And then just this thought, just this tri-calc expectation with no basis and understanding of life and physiology and progression, or respecting the fact that everyone is different, do you just speak something into existence and then feel it, and now it has become the truth. It has become the way. And anything that is not the way is a failure. And that is what we hold on to. But if you retrace your steps on how you got to that thought process, then that's when you can really figure out how flawed and misguided it was. But then that means the two scariest things happen. A, we weren't right. And two, oh my God, I really can't predict how things are going to go. And type A people hate that.
I agree, man.
Just, dude,
I'm so
just
resistant
be who
now.
you are, man. Just be who you are. If you never say, yeah, man, again, then this podcast is going to flounder and fail.
I know. I know. Well, I love what you said there about we think success means safety when we get into that mindset. Um, but there's just never going to be a time when we say, "Yep, I'm done. I'm done." You know, it just keeps going. So I think that like when you think about things in terms of cycles or what have you, or like goals maybe, and that's the danger for me in goals is that you know 8 years ago or whatever it was, I set out a goal to do my first Ironman, and then I did it, and then it was like, oh, you know, well, now what kind of thing, in a way. I just because of the perspective I had on it, and then I was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, I'll do another one, and then I got up there again, and I was like, whatever. But if you think about it, where we are today, where you are today, is probably like this goal that we had out there 3 years ago. Like think about it in terms of the podcast, for example. We started a podcast, and if you'd have thought, 350 podcasts later, that would have been like top of the mountain kind of vision for us, right? At the time,
Right.
we were just sitting around Skyping from our bedrooms and like whatever. But so it's interesting to look at it in that terms. And if you're still like, because that was exciting, and that would have been like, wow, man, you're kidding me. We're gonna have all these downloads and people listening on these groups and camps and all that stuff. And then now you're here, so it becomes kind of more like a comfort zone in a way, because we're used to it now. So now it's like you got to kind of set up something else, right? But it's difficult to keep in that loop, and especially if you don't recognize it. So if I feel like sometimes with my racing, for example, I feel like I set these goals out there, and then I kind of tried to re-energize the same goal over and over, and it just kind of it became difficult. So it doesn't make any sense to me to keep just going back to the well for the same level of excitement or payoff or anything like that without either stepping back and just accepting the process, or creating new, heights for that goal or whatever. And to me, that's where this whole idea of process becomes so important, because it is a minute to minute, day by day kind of thing, and you know it's
Well,
all we have.
no, I think, and I commented this in an athlete's training peaks this morning. That was kind of it's this. She's kind of having like a rough patch with work is super crazy, and this is I mean, and again, like most people, if they're going to have like a blip in what they consider lack of motivation or lack of energy or just in a funk, it's traditionally going to be January through March or November through February. Like the cold months, the holidays, the extra stress that life brings. We're cooped up inside with less vitamin D, races are far away, people just get in funks. And she was kind of showing some frustration with herself. And I just don't know why I'm being this way. I really want to do this. Came off, really getting into the year last year. I said, this week is a new week. New weeks mean new opportunities. And those new opportunities mean it's time to create new habits. It's not time to create results. We create habits first. And then after those, we create those habits. Those habits are what make and get the results. And I think we are so, because this is a societal issue, in that we all we do is highlight the results, the one hit wonders, which there's no such thing. It's all the habits and things they do before that. It is, the small, and again, it's the small things you do in life or the small things you neglect that add up to the big things. But all we want to highlight and focus on are the results. We never want to look at how we got to those results. We never want to look at the small, what might seem insignificant things got us to those results because of the small habits we have, whether it's, always making time or always making sure we're eating right, drinking enough water, prioritizing sleep, getting up on time, using good time management. Like those are the small things that you never hide. Like you never see somebody post on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, like, oh, dude, crush this week. Time management, 100. Nailed it. They're like, oh, I was able to do this week, and you're like, but if you want to like peel back the layers of the person's onion and see like what's on the inside as you peel back the layers, you all successful people have these really, really, you know small things that make up who they are. And like I had a athlete send me an email. He constantly does this because he's on the same wavelength as I am. But there was one. There we go. He said, "Success is never due to one thing, but failure can be. Sleeping well won't make you successful, but not sleeping enough will hold you back. Hard work is rarely enough without good strategy, but even the best strategy is useless without hard work. Many things are necessary, but not sufficient for success." And a couple of things that were in there, which is, it was highlighting on basically like what you do in the smallest things in life is actually, how you do in everything in life. And we love to maximize and highlight and post on our social media platforms the greatness that is what we're achieving and what's happening. But what we rarely ever do is look back and think what we overcame or what we were able to accomplish, the little things that allowed this big thing to happen. And we always look at our results. We always look at great or we always look at bad. And then we rarely ever want to look back and think, all right, what were the small things that led me to these? Because that takes time, that takes work, that takes effort. And what you end up finding is in order for me to change or to make things better or to do things different, what I have to do now is look at really the fabric of who I am right now with life. Am I being good with time management? Yes or no? Am I prioritizing sleep? Yes or no? Am I eating and drinking the things that I should be to fuel my body to feel the way that it wants to feel at 5 o'clock when my alarm goes off? Or am I feeding it with, cheese dip, margaritas, and 2 pounds of Twizzlers? And then I can't think, I wonder why I just couldn't get up today. And like, I wasn't feeling it. No, you weren't feeling because your body was basically like trudging through mud. Like, and you look at other things like, am I minimizing stress? Am I exposing myself to positive people and positive things? Am I, taking time for myself each day? Those are like the hardest things in life to change because they are things that we have to do every day, but they also affect every part of our day. Not just triathlon, not just your training, but how you are as a husband or a spouse or a wife or a parent. Like they all affect each other. And but what we're obsessed with is, well, why aren't we getting this result? And then we just continue to obsess about the result driven society we have on, okay, if it wasn't this and it was a failure, what can I do to do better? I have to be faster, or I have to be able to go longer, or this isn't where I thought I would be. So the answer we all want is, what have I done wrong? Okay. And most time it's like, first you need to categorize what you're doing right, because once you look again, and again, that's what we always go back on. What are we doing wrong? Because we like to be harder on us, so we want to figure out and get better. We're obsessed about always getting faster and better and richer and smarter and having more friends and having more things. When you look back on how you tried to improve in the first place, whether it's at life or in triathlon, it's all right. Well, I'm doing some things right. Like I'm doing A, B, and C in my life. I'm doing all these things really, really well. Okay, why am I doing those well? Why am I consistent at those? What makes me want to make those a continuous priority, 7 days a week that lead to months, that lead to, years? Why am I focusing on, and then what principles behind those can I apply to these other things in my life? Like we always use that analogy like our podcast. We just decided to do one and then kind of see where it left us. We had no expectations. We had no idea what it was going to turn into. We just wanted to do it because we wanted to connect with each other and just put our conversations out there and see what happened. Same thing goes with, sobriety and people who get an AA. Is like they just say take one day at a time. And that sounds so stupid and so simple that there has to be something more complex, but you have to follow these guidelines. And then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're, there's people out there that are 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years sober, which is insane for me to think about. But it's the smallest thing. And then you figure out, well, if I can apply those principles on a daily basis to something to be that successful, then what do I need to apply to things that I'm not being successful at? All right, well, I need to go to bed earlier. And well, okay, define going to bed earlier. Oh, I need to try to get going to bed a little bit earlier. Maybe it's having, maybe it's taking a hot shower, a warm bath. Maybe it's reading instead of watching, Netflix. All these things that add up, but those are the things that are hard because they take time, they take self-reflection, they take understanding why we're not doing things. And I think if you look into people who've been really, really, really successful in all things in life, whether it's just sport, whether it's triathlon, whether it's business, whether it's just, personal relationships, it's that they are always willing to they're all it's not that they're not satisfied with being good enough, it's that they always find they are always obsessed with things on how they can get better, not as an end result, as in how can we continue to maximize these margins or increase our profit or get faster at this pace. It's all right, how do I keep highlighting these small things in my life or my training that I know are working well, that are working for me? How can I continue to make sure those are sticking and making a priority? And that's hard work, and it's not fun, right? It's
Yeah.
it's not like, all
No,
right,
I
well,
know.
it's not, I want to head to the track and get faster today. Well, how has your running been the last 4 weeks? Well, I've kind of run 1 or 2 times a week. Like that's not, and like, oh well, that's why does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah, I do love what you said about it's time to create new habits, not results. And that is the simplest thing, right? Or the simplest concept of doing little things every day. One of the things I struggle with, and you know this, I mean, I've been a terrible sleeper. Um, and you said you've been sleeping better, or I don't know if you said better, but you've been getting up super early and you've had that good routine going. And I don't know how you do that. I've I've actually been since run camp. I've kind of figured out a way to sleep a little bit better, and I've been in and out of that. But even last night, I was just like, I've went to bed at a reasonable hour, and then my mind just starts rolling. And even though I went to my Dharma talk meditation last night, I was calm and everything was peaceful. I was just wired. And it's the worst thing you can do, I think, sometimes to reach for Netflix or something like that in that moment. For me, it is because it gets me going and I just sort of have more energy at night sometimes. But I'm getting there. It's a good process.
If you want to borrow Hayden for like 2 weeks, he can like very efficiently get you to getting up early. I mean, we have no issue with you wanting to do that. Just a open door invitation.
Well, and I mean that's a really good point, right? I mean, it's the fact that I don't have a child running around and wearing me out half the day. That's a legitimate point, you know. So, as a guy that's living by himself and sort of has his own, buffet of whatever he wants to do every day, that becomes tricky. So I have been trying to like it's a little thing. Like for me, I think on Friday I was like, because I said I haven't been, I've been running, but it hasn't been doing much for me. So I started getting on. I got on the trainer Friday, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do some because I want to be I want to. For cycling is a weird one for me because I think it makes me feel the best, but it's the hardest for me to get on, and it's something to do with the time factor of committing to, like rides are just typically longer and whatever. So I decided in one of your strategies to do some double rides. So I've been doing double rides. Yesterday I only did one, but I had a couple of double ride days, just 40 minutes, 45 minutes split up, and it's manageable. It feels good, and it's sort of changed the table a little bit. But to keep going down that road, I think that I've always liked the idea of concentrated blocks to kind of get you. It started with me in the swim when I just started swimming every day for a couple of weeks, and it really changed how I approached or how I felt about swimming. And I kind of want to get that thing going with cycling right now because it has been a little bit of my nemesis, even though I feel strong about it, and I'm comfortable with biking. It's just I'm not comfortable with the time of it. So that's a little habit that I'm trying to throw in. And I've, it's weird how you notice that little things get easier once you have a couple solid habits going, and they sort of snowball on each other.
Yeah, the exact quote was, what are the minority of my actions that drive the majority of my results?
Mm.
As a kind of question to pose for ourselves. And I think, you answered one of those for you. And I think for a lot of us, like, it's all right, what are the smallest of actions or habits that I have that drive the majority of my results? Is it, just like for you, I would say it's just getting to the point to where you get your shoes on to run out the door, or whether you actually make your way onto the pool deck to get on the pool, or do you get on your bike? That's where we find habits, and that's how we get into grooves. Like people who say, oh, I'm in a great groove right now, I'm in a great zone right now. What you are is you've just created a habit that you love, that's attainable, that you can be a part of the process with and love it, because it's no longer something you're forcing, it's no longer something you're creating, it's no longer something you feel anxious about, making sure that you're, continuing on. It just becomes a part of your day-to-day life, and now you just don't think about it anymore. Like, and that's a good thing, because now you can move on, because I think there's only a couple things that you can change about yourself or about what you're doing each day or each week until you kind of become overwhelmed and you're the guy that has half thing, has 50 things halfway done and nothing finished. You have to create small. You can't, and again, you can't do it all at once. You can't just wake up and think, all right, I'm a different person, I'm going to change it all, because the overriding feeling and thought and habit that you're going to have is what you've been or doing for the past 5 years, right? Those aren't easy. Those became habits for a reason, because they've been entrenched in who you are and the fabric of how you do things each and every day. So changing them is super hard. So changing a million things at once, or writing down 20 resolutions, is it's almost impossible. And that's why very few people are actually able to achieve that, because it's so hard. So you find these small things that you do well, and again, you magnify them to see, all right, well, these things equate to really good results. You like block training, you like getting on the bike, double rides. For you, it's about creating routine, it's about creating tangible, successful opportunities. And that is kind of an atmosphere or an environment that so many triathletes don't find themselves in. They don't find themselves in an attainable, success-oriented training environment or atmosphere. They have taken on too much. They have too little time, so they are doing too little. And they now have this feeling that you alluded to at the beginning of the podcast of, why am I not here? Why am I not doing these things? Why is it not working out? Why am I not fast enough? But you look back at your training and think, okay, well, I've missed X amount of days. I was sick for a couple of weeks. I'm coming off this. Okay, maybe I shouldn't focus on, because every time we make an expectation that's outside of just doing the best that we can, we set ourselves up for failure. I've said it a million times, I'll say it again, it's my favorite quotes of all time. Expectations are future resentments. Because you speak out, and you verbalize, and you make public, or you speak into existence with yourself an expectation about what you feel is attainable at this moment, in your adrenaline rushed, motivation seeking, ego attached, I can't let go, Ironman registration button. I'm doing it, I got it, I'm going to crush it this year. 364 days prior to the day you're going to do things on, you're going to do, and you have no idea what's going to happen. You have no idea what life's going to throw at you. You don't know how you're going to progress. You don't know how, you could be faster, you could be slower. You don't know what life's going to happen. And I've seen people register for a race a year out, single, living in a certain city, and then 6 months later, new job, new city, new fiance, and that new fiance may or may not have, kids. Hello? Could you have predicted that? No. But what it is it's life. So you're living this life, you're going through things day to day, but what are you still doing? Obsessed with and attached to this random ass thing you spoke into existence 6 months prior, thinking, "Ah, I can't believe I can't do this right now. I can't believe I'm not this fast." Or where are things going wrong? Like, take a hard look at yourself, take a hard look at life, and understand and respect that all you can really do is wake up each day and do your best. Then leave it. Don't dissect what the worth or what the value of was your best that day. Just show up and do your best. Like, and then leave it. Like, I don't understand our obsession with attaching ourselves and dragging on for weeks or for days or weeks, this one bad workout, this one bad session. wake up and forget about it. Like that's not like in any other aspect with life. That the same thing as like me, doing something like really stupid around the house, and Allie's like, "Oh, that was really dumb. Like you got to just like not do that again." And for the next 2 weeks, I wake up and I'm like, babe, I just still can't believe I didn't load the dishwasher right. I'm so sorry. Like I got to fix that. I'm just not doing very good. Next day, wake up again, babe. I gotta tell you, like, I'm real, like I can't believe it. No, we don't do that in any other part of our life. We don't just hold on to it. We just wake up and then realize, all right, today I got to go at life again because it's gonna have a go at me. And life has a much better shot of basically owning you and taking care of you if you're worried about the thing that happened a few days before or the workout you didn't accomplish. Just wake up and do your best because, like, you have to be your biggest supporter. You need a support system. You need friends that are going to love you. You need people that are going to care about you. You need people that are going to pick you up when you get down. But you gotta lean on yourself and you gotta lean on each other. You can't beat yourself up. And we do that so often in races, or people go into races so scared and so fearful of what the outcome is going to be because they've hedged all of their chips and all of their bets on this result that's going to validate the amount of stress and anxiety and sacrifice that they've had for the previous 6 months. And then, oh my God, if it doesn't, then they're a failure. But here's the flip side. Even if you succeed, at what cost? Is it really worth the stress and anxiety and the self-criticism and the worry that you put on yourself those previous 6 months? No, it's not. Like no race is worth living with that, living through that. And that's that again, like besides being consistent and driving home that approach with athletes that we work with and being happy and being healthy and realizing that success is a day-to-day thing, not a once a week thing, establishing that, because part of that is like I talked about a minute ago, is providing the opportunity day in and day out, week in and week out, for the athlete to be successful within the life that they have. That means training that's attainable, training that's doable, not something that's challenge, wants to be appropriately challenging, but it doesn't mean something where they're going to have an opportunity to feel defeated, right? And so you provide that. But the other thing that is the biggest struggle or the biggest focus you have to put on as a coach when you, or at least what we do, is to get people to have fun, to let loose, to let our workouts be a positive thing. And then the results, listen, if you place having fun, doing your best on every session that you do, then your race is just going to be a sum of all of those sessions, which is again, you're going to have fun and you're going to do the best you can do. And then what is what is. Like,
Amen, man.
you said that, I think, in the beginning of whatever you said about, we give power to the things that give them power, whatever it was. And we do that with races. We give them so much power and opportunity one way or the other. And that's on us. That is 100% on us. And so we just have to remember that, I think, and I've learned this as I've gotten older and as Hayden has like reminded me like 5 times this week that I'm 39. So that means I'll be 40 this year. He's like, yeah, well, I'm 3 and you're 39. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I know. Like, let's not talk about that. And he's like, I'm like, where did you hear that? He's like, well, he's like, Nana told me. And I'm like, of course, my mom's like spouting off me turning 40 this June. Anyway, is that I don't even know where I was going with that. But oh yes, I've gotten older, obviously, is that like you've instead of being so focused on results and the momentary like the moment of what we might feel from that result, because no matter what, if it's just a result we're after, the next fleeting thought is, all right, that was great, what's next? Or but, like we always talk about the buts after race. Oh yeah, but it was really, really great. I had like a 15, 16-minute PR, but I really
But
could have done this. This, we always have that. So, especially like I said, I've gotten older. I've looked more as everything we do is an opportunity to experience. Every day you put on your shoes, every time you get in the water, every time you go race, every time you hop on your bike, you have an opportunity to have an experience. And for the most part, you get to choose what that experience is going to be like with your effort, with your attitude, with your priorities. A 30-minute run could be the best experience of your day. because life is hard and you've got kids, you've got a job, you have all the other, you choose to turn on the news for like 0.3 seconds. Now your whole day's ruined. Like that can be that 30-minute run can be the best experience of your day if you choose to give it that power. Or what it can be is the absolute worst experience of your day because you went out for your run expecting this and wanting this, and for some reason, I don't know, I can't control my body today and it can't do exactly what I want it to do, and now today was a failure and now I have no idea what I'm going to do with my life.
Uh, when I think about what you were talking about, signing up for a race 364 days ahead of time, and then what happens after that is, like I'm really into meditation and getting inside and mindfulness and all that kind of quiet bliss and all that nonsense. Uh, and trying to sort that out. But what happens is even in that kind of community, they always talk about community as everything. It's like you can get in and just be in the moment and be silent and think about what you're, what's ahead of you, whether it be a race or whatever. But for 364 days, to sit on that and ponder and internally without being able to share that thought or whatever, somebody out there just to kind of like let you clear that and clear your you know emotional energy or whatever it may be. And that's what I think. It's interesting, the more people I coach, and I think that that really kind of falls at the heart of it a lot of times, is that because if you're just sitting in there and thinking about all these things, and like I used to do on the tri-calc stuff and just be back and forth on that, and I can do this and whatever, and then you go out and have a workout that's nowhere near what you were hoping for, and for some reason we want to put so much weight on that and internalize it and like carry that weight. It's just like incredible. So I find myself so much just saying, hey, this is all big pictures. This is like you're saying, habits. It's just getting things done. It's all a big parts of the big sum. And that to me is the one of the biggest things that's kind of hard to articulate and explain sometimes and accept as an athlete, is that it's just a process, and you're going that way each day. And it's great to have people to tell you it's all right, man, or it's like, hey, no big deal. You moved the right direction today, and everything's going to be fine. So I just think that I think about that a lot because I am alone a lot too, and I tend to do that. So I just point that out because this irony, I guess, or of this being such an isolated sport, but it demands community in that regard, I think, or at least commune with somebody you can trust or is going to be able to see things from the outside.
It's well, I think one of the like when you giving yourself perspective is one thing, but every time you talk to someone else and they're able to give you a better perspective, for whatever reason, it tends to sink in because we always tend to focus on the tree because the forest is it's too daunting, it's not right in front of us, we can't focus on the big picture, right? And so I think, like for you and I have always been good with, and I think this is why you always have like someone to lean on or a coach or someone to give you feedback, is that or just be married and have your wife like keep you in check 24/7, is that like it it always helps to have someone further and enrich your perspective and remind you to rein things back in or understand and remember how far. I mean, you and I lose sight of that all the time, right? Like we always like, all right, how can we do things better? How can we be, and then we always kind of go back to, well, we just need to stick to why we started doing this in the first place.
Mm,
Have
yeah,
fun, do our best. Like, has every podcast been incredible? No, no, it has not. Have we have we shown
pretty
up?
close. Yeah,
Right,
have we shown up?
have we shown up? We've shown up,
Yeah,
and
man, I get tired. I guess so because it's like, yeah, everyone, and not everyone. There just seems like a flood of people out there just trumping this whole like idea that you gotta just crush everything. And I think you're so right because when we just kind of keep who we are and what we believe in at the core of everything, and that just sort of guides our decision making. And we make those little decisions on a daily basis, usually without a lot of fret. And we know at the core what we believe in with regard to this process. And I think that's a super valuable lesson, or to just kind of find out who you are and just keep coming from that place, and things sort of just take care of themselves without always having that magical castle at the end of the road to shoot for.
And how wrong we so often are anyway when you try to control it. Like
Yeah.
that again, like to go back to like an analogy that I had when I was like the first 2 or 3 weeks I was actually in treatment. The my primary therapist, he was talking to our group and he said, he was talking about trying to find like your own, like a different spiritual level to basically it was about finding your higher power and depending on something else or someone else or whether it was a in a something in the universe or it was God or whatever it is, like find something that you believe in that has more power, that this whole life thing is up to more than you, because you've been the CEO of your life for the last however many years, and look at where it got you. So just find, and it could be whatever it is, and so like just basically instilling principles in your life, and then understanding that life is just going to be what it is, and that you don't like. The thing is that relieving yourself of that responsibility of how you feel like you control all of life like the amount of stress it takes away, because now you just become a person who has to react and deal with life instead of a person who makes it and who is in charge of creating it and then also fixing it or adapting to all the bad. Now I just have to be like, all right, well, life's going to happen. I just have to keep doing what I know to be true about myself and about how I'm supposed to live, and to keep doing the best that I can, because everything else is just going to happen. And that's how with training, if you look at every session as an opportunity for a positive experience, you're going to take something positive from it. But if you look at every session or every training week as an opportunity to fail or an opportunity to see an expectation, then nothing great is going to come from it, because you're just going to get to a met expectation that you've had a negative response to, and the fact that if you don't meet it, then now where's the next one? So instead of looking at 60 days as 60 opportunities to have great experiences in training and to have fun and to get fit and put forth your best effort and just see what happens, what you now probably have is 4 days of trying to meet specific expectations, and the other 56 days are met with anxiety and fear that you're not going to meet them. I know what 60-day block I'd choose, and I would choose having fun, having a good experience, and just simply doing my best. Because like that, the older Hayden gets and the more we get involved with like parenting and doing things, I'm constantly reminded of like how hypocritical we are as parents. In that you tell your kids to, and my mom sent me like this really great article the other day about like how you tell your kids all that matters is that you're kind and that you're happy and that you do your best, and then how attentive and kids are at seeing what's really happening. Like, are you more concerned about money? Are you concerned about what you have? Or are you mean? Or, like all these things in life, or, like they have a really good perception of what's really going on. And so they could probably see that sometimes you might tell them one thing and then you're full of shit somewhere else. And so the more things we say to Hayden, and like, it's, did you have fun? Did you do your best? And then you think about yourself, and you're like, if you're being hard on yourself, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Did I have fun? Did I have best? That's all that matters. Okay. Because you want your kids to grow up and have a good, happy life. And then you look at your own life and think, I am so full of crap, because I'm judging myself on a totally different set of values and characteristics and a totally different, pass or fail scale. And I love this child, right? I love Hayden more than anything in the world, and I want him to have the best life ever. And so if I'm telling him that these are the only things that matter, then why am I not telling myself the same thing? Because we get older, we get, the world takes over, we start to prioritize different things, and we worry about things, and we stress about things. But at the root of it's just like, and I tell parents this all the time, who coach their kids and are so hard on themselves, and I think, all right, well, would you talk to that way to your kid after their game? Well, no, I'd be okay. Well, it's no different, because guess what? Your kid's participating in a sport that has a hobby, and so are you. It's the exact same. But we're just so hard on ourselves, and it's just like it's fascinating. It's enlightening, as a parent to kind of look at those things and be like, all right, why am I, because he's picking up like participating in sports or what he loves to do, and he mimics us, and we try to be. We're definitely not perfect parents by any stretch, but it's really enlightening to kind of say those things to a kid that is trying to exercise and do things or participate and create things, and all you're really doing is, or at least for us, it's like, man, just, you did great, are you proud of yourself, or did you have fun, like all these things that are positive and true and make experiences fun, that they'll, instead of like, well, what was your expectation of this Lego set, Hayden? Well, I see two red blocks that are missing their play. It's a total failure. Like, but that's how that's how we treat ourselves with training. It's interesting. It could be a topic for a whole nother podcast, but I find it kind of fascinating.
Yeah, I know we create our own reality, so how do we turn it into play? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, sort of laughter and fun. It's funny. I have a thread, a text thread with some buddies back home. They all talk about kids and kids these days and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, it's interesting as an outsider on that because, you know, it is so hypocritical in a way that we forget what we went through as kids and how, you know, I guess you just don't have the, and it's a good thing, right? You don't have the capacity to judge yourself so harsh when you're a kid. And then as you get older, these concepts come along from parents. It's like I was listening to this thing the other day. I can't remember what I was talking about, but um, like a newborn baby has the best understanding of life because
Mm-hmm.
they know that they're just there to move and they're there to love and they can just feel the energy and then slowly but surely humans get involved and start dropping concepts on them and changing
Mm-hmm.
like because words can't really describe life, right? It's like
Right.
they're the best thing we have to try to articulate different feelings and situations and how to live and all that stuff. But over time, I mean, I hate to say it, but like it's easy to get jaded, based on whatever it is. But again, it goes back to what I was saying. Everything is things are just things until you give them meaning. So, what are you doing today, and are you, feeling good about it? It could be a bad
Whoa,
workout.
whoa,
It's
whoa!
like,
That's too
well,
simple, man.
oh, okay.
That's way that's way too simple to think of ourselves. We're this really really complex being in person who's got all these gadgets and technology. And oh, wait a minute, if I have fun and enjoy myself and surround myself with good people who are supportive, then good things happen. It's yeah, and like going back to what you're saying about when the baby is born, it's like they pretty much know all they need to know already. They until humans get attached and, like you said, push on their concepts or beliefs that make them into end up who they are, and then probably in therapy when they're 12. um, is that how much you can learn and change. And like that was reading a book called Mastery, and it was one of those things about, we don't think we can learn these things or change, and then you go back to like the fact that, look at yourself now and when you were born, like you had to pick up speaking, right?
Yeah.
You had to pick up reading, or you had to. It's from like an observation standpoint. Like when you, especially when you're watching toddlers and like kids, like how they can, like, they understand facial cues and recognition. Like they had to learn that. Like none of that is easy, but like we always like, oh, I'm too old for that. I can't do that. It's just, that's too hard. I can't change. I'm like, okay, well, you can because you choose not to. But it is. It's a the human psyche is the at the forefront of, and what you believe and what you prioritize, it makes up your life. And I think that we forget that we have the control to change those, whether it's a result or it's an experience. Is it an expectation, or is it an effort? And so I think that we have that obligation to ourselves, hopefully, to treat ourselves better, to be kind to ourselves, to enjoy life, because we don't know how long we're going to be here for it. And each week we have an opportunity. We don't have any idea what next week's going to look like. So just do your best this week, and while you're at it, have fun doing your best, right? And put forth the effort and enjoy yourself and have fun experiences, and just don't, going back to the podcast a week or two ago, it's like, just don't take it for granted that you're going to be able to change everything the next week. Do your best every time, and then love it and experience good things and have fun and appreciate this journey that you're on, instead of always wondering why you're on the wrong journey, or why it's not going fast enough, or why it's going too slow, or why you're not here yet. You're constantly, obsessing about where you're not instead of appreciating where you are.
Well said, buddy.
And that concludes the 6 fastest ways to improve your transition to time at your next Olympic distance triathlon.
Hey, we will release a transition video one of these days.
Yeah, we will. With the amount of footage that you have from races, we have a lot of great transitions, and we have a lot of what to not do in transitions. Especially those of you thinking of trying to learn the flying dismount or the flying mount. Boy, do we have some footage for you.
Yeah.
It's like, 1% of the people look smooth, the other half look like American Ninja Warrior, where they're about to like face plant on concrete. But yeah, we'll do that one. We'll do that one of these days.
Should I put that video? I still have this from Ironman Louisville a few years ago. I just shot video for like a long time of people getting off their bike.
Oh my God, it is the funniest thing to watch.
I should put that together. I mean, I guess at the time I was like, I don't want to put these people in. But no, they're over it now. It's been a few years. So
well, you know what? It's a great opportunity to remind ourselves why we shouldn't take ourselves too seriously, because nothing is more fun and entertaining than watching either getting on your bike, getting off, to watching these mid-30s, 40s, 50-year-old people who are so shellacked, covered in sunscreen and saliva and their own urine and chamois cream, with pointy head helmets, dressed in spandex, trying to get off these bikes with crazy looking wheels as they wobble their way through the chute, trying to not totally fall over. But by all means, please take yourself seriously, because come on. Seriously, it's so fun to watch. I just think it's good. It's good humor, and it's just like we're all just like trying, man. We're all just trying.
Yeah, trying to do what? I don't know, but
trying to make podcast 348.
Yeah, buddy. Okay, let's put a pin in this.
Put a pin in it. Appreciate you all joining us. If you haven't, or hey, you want to stop by again, swing on over on our website, C26Triathlon.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things training, coaching, camps, you name it, it's there. Check it out. It's got a whole lot of fun things to peruse, and it does an outstanding job of highlighting our greatest asset, which is our community of athletes, and highlighting those. Check it out. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, requests, you can hit up Mike, crushingiron@gmail.com, or you can always reach out to me directly, C26coach@gmail.com.
All right, man. It's been a pleasure again.
As always.
All right. Take care of yourself.